Sanity is a curse. Madness offers the only freedom.
Hello ghouls, hello gals. When this releases, it'll be Halloween-y time. I am Danny, and who are you?
I'm Jim. This is Shack Out Back, a bi-weekly podcast, a book club of sorts. We talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about every 2 weeks. How you doing, Daniel?
I'm doing good. It is, when this releases, I think it will be really close to Halloween, because it'll be still in October, so still got the feeling. Are you getting in the Halloween spirit?
Oh yeah, I changed my Discord image. It's a little devil man. I named myself Halloween Jim in every other server I'm in.
Nice.
So I'm getting into the spirit. I'm getting my Halloween costume together. It's all going to be fun.
Nice, that's all good. Yeah, so we will get into it. Every week we do a little weekly breakdown of what we've been doing.
What are we talking about this week first? What are we talking about?
What we're talking about first? Jim wanted to talk about Call of Cthulhu, so we started a Call of Cthulhu campaign, and I am the DM. I think it's called, like, the Keeper or something in Call of Cthulhu terms. That's the DM. It's the guy who runs it, yeah. And all the players are called the Investigators, but they're called players. Everyone just calls them players. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some RPG stuff. We're going to talk about some spooky, scary stuff.
It's a Halloween themed role playing game. I think a little spooky, little spacky. Yep. And it's a follow-up on our last episode about role-playing games. That one is a little more scattershot. I think this one will be a little bit more focused and condensed.
Yeah, we talked a lot about D&D. We talked a lot about Mothership, a lot about little stuff. But yeah, I want to get into why I think we're going to be liking Call of Cthulhu. I liked it a lot. I had a good time.
All right, bi-weekly breakdown time. Dan, what sort of media pursuits have you tackled the last 3 weeks or so?
Me first. It is the Steam Next Fest right now, and it is it's an alright one. It feels kind of lackluster. I feel like the last couple Next Fests that we had were chocked full of good demos. I did find some really super stuff I wanted to mention. I won't mention everything because some stuff was kind of lame. 10 Dead Doves is a very interesting, weird game, and I have it on my wish list after playing the demo, and I think you'd probably like it, Jim. It's a fixed camera horror game where you're a hiker in the Appalachian Mountains and you're looking for a thing called the Ant Farm, and it's supposed to be like a non-Euclidean space that eats up people and shit.
Sounds fun.
Really weird. It's really, like, oddly put together. The graphics are kind of weird to look at, and the voice acting is, Cassie even commented on it, the voice acting is, like, weirdly cheesy, but it kind of fits everything. My favorite latest thing was Dredge. I played that. It's a spooky fishing game.
Yeah, I saw a little video about that this afternoon. It looked fun.
Super duper cool. I'm instantly put that on my wish list. I was excited from it since I saw like thumbnails and stuff of it, but playing it lives up to my hype. I'm really excited for the full release. Played some other stuff. I played a game called From Space. Gunbrella was kind of cool. I thought it was weirdly punishingly hard. I played a really weird game called The Eternal Cylinder, which kind of felt like a Spore project. Like, I feel like the people who played that game definitely played Spore as kids, and they were like, let's make a whole game just more in-depth on, like, weird shit and weird creatures. But my favorite demo was for Wavetail. I told Jim to download that.
What's it about? I've not followed the Next Fest at all.
This one crept up randomly. Yeah, like, this one felt like I'm usually high up on this stuff, and I follow them, but this Next Fest, I kind of opened Steam one day, and I was like, holy shit, a Next Fest is going on. Wavetail is a light combat, like, 3D platformer. And it seems to be set in a land where there's a bunch of islands, and you can surf between the islands. And it's kind of interesting. It's a really like unique concept. How you get around is you have like a water fae that stands under the water, and you stand on the soles of her feet, so it's like a mirror, and you run across the water with her, and you can like surf on her back and stuff.
That sounds cool.
It's really cool, and it performs really well, and it's really pretty to look at, and it's really fun. And I was like, wow, when does it come out? And then I looked it up, and I was like, there's all reviews for it. I was like, is it out? It released on Stadia only last year. Ugh. And I was like, now it's coming to PC, and I was like, holy shit, this like was trapped on Stadia. Like, this is exactly my type of shit, and I never even heard about it. I didn't see anyone talking about it, and now it's on Steam. I see people talking about it. It's on Twitter and stuff.
Why is it on Steam, Dan?
Stadia is getting in the grave, finally, like officially, not just rumors. It is dying. They're refunding everyone from like everything, hardware, software, keys, anything that you've purchased through the Stadia platform, which, I mean, I guess good on them, but I feel like they would have got sued if they didn't. So, Stadia is officially dead, I think, as of, like, sometime early next year, so.
I will say that it is a good idea, in essence, and people will pay for that in the future, but the internet infrastructure in lots of different portions of the world, including North America, is just so fucking shit that it would, like, there was no chance of it working.
Jim, they released in exactly the wrong time. Everyone was stuck at home. GPU prices were too high. No one had new consoles. When was the better time to release? Could they have done it a different shot?
I guess you're right. I guess, maybe for COVID 2, that may have been the best time to release.
COVID 2, you'll get Stadia 2. But yeah, other than that, I started The Troop. I am super enjoying it. Really enjoying it so far. Yeah, I know
you'd like that one.
It makes me unsettled. It is, go read The Troop. You can go look it up. It's about, like, a super tapeworm, it seems like. I don't know too much about the actual story, but it's creepy already. I'm only in, like, chapter 7 or 8 or 9 or something. I had a real big, annoying doctor's appointment. I had to wear a stupid blood pressure cuff for 24 hours because they're monitoring me. Nothing's wrong, I promise.
I thought you had to wear the heart monitor thing, which isn't too bad. I've had to do that
before. I fucking wish I had to wear the heart monitor thing. The blood pressure cuff, every 30 minutes for 24 hours, it would go, ee, and then fucking inflate and suffocate my arm, and my fingers would get all numb and shit because it was so tight, and then it would slowly decline, and then 30 minutes later it would do the same thing, and then when I'm sleeping it would do it every hour, so you can imagine how much sleep I got.
How much sleep did you get?
I remember waking up multiple times. I might have slept through one, but I remember waking up multiple times and looking at it and being like, that's the 12 o'clock squeeze. And then I'd like close my eyes, and all I'm thinking of is like, I've got 59 minutes left until that happens again.
That's awful.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty shitty, but that's off today. Me and Cass played some big board games today, but that's besides the point. Jim, tell me what you do.
Old Gibbous got COVID 3 weeks ago.
Yes, he did.
We all got together. Not all of us. There was like 7 of us. We went to Brandon's house, and me, Patricia, Patrick, and 2 other people. Well, one of them had COVID already, but we all got COVID, and I was sick.
Yeah, you weren't doing good. COVID hit you pretty hard.
Well, no, my symptoms were okay at the beginning. Like a couple of them were like puking and had a fever and shit. And I had a fever the first day, but it wasn't too bad. But then I haven't been able to taste right, and my brain's been full of fucking cotton the last 3 weeks.
That's Jim's excuse for being dumb. He's just going to say that for the rest of his life. Oh, that COVID really got me. He's going to be 30 years from now.
Really hard-boiled my noggin. But I'm getting better slowly. In my COVID state, I played a lot of Deep Rock. But I got
actually.
I got a game called Legend of Grim Rock, which is
you were telling me.
I think it released in 2013, 2014 or something like that, and it's like a classic old school style like dungeon crawler game
like
with
first
a better
person,
UI. Right? Yeah.
I think I think there's a sequel.
Yeah, there's Grimrock 2 as well. You make a team of 4 adventurers, and they have different races, different classes and stuff, but it's not story driven. It's literally just like combat puzzles and puzzles, and you get through a dungeon. I watched some movies. I watched Glass with my dad, and I was in the midst of COVID when I watched that, so I thought it was okay. I thought it was kind of weird. I had not seen Split.
Glass. Oh, so, yes. Is Glass the newest one?
Yes. I had not seen Split, so I didn't get out of it what I think I would have got out of it if I saw Split, but it was still good.
Wait, you didn't see Split?
No.
That's like the thing. You see that, and then you see that, because it's a trilogy, isn't it? It's Unbreakable,
And
Jim skipped the middle movie.
I saw Unbreakable. Unbreakable's good. I watched Fantastic Mr. Fox one night on Discord with some friends. So that's a good-ass movie. I've watched that again. I watched the adaptation of Edgar Allan Poe stories that are on Shudder right now called Extraordinary Tales. They were good. I fell asleep during them because they were nice and cozy, and then I finished them the next day. I watched a movie, one of my favorites, called In a Lonely Place. I rewatched that, one of Humphrey Bogart's best movies. It's very sad. That's a sad movie. I don't think you'd like it very much, Dan.
Jim thinks I don't like sad things.
I watched the series of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, and I got drunk one day, and I went over to Dan's, and then we were playing board games, and I had posted like 2 mirrors of the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared show, and no one had watched it except for Patrick. And what did I say, Dan, at the table?
We're playing Clank, and Jim said, "Did you watch the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared?" And I said, "No," and he said, "You stupid motherfucker." And I went, "Okay, Jim, take it easy. You had a little bit too much to drink."
I'll take it easy, old Jim, but no, you should have watched it. It was
I'll
amazing.
watch them.
How are you going to watch them, Dan?
They'll be on YouTube or something.
No, they won't be. They're fucking aired on Channel 4. They're on YouTube for like a day. I started watching Star Trek Enterprise, which is not as good as any other Star Trek show, but it's okay. I watched a bit of Spy Family on Patricia's recommendation, and Spy Family was good.
Yeah, Jim watches anime when a woman recommends it. When Danny recommends it, he doesn't watch it.
I read Wounds, 6 Stories from the Border of Hell by Nathan Ballingrid.
That's a name.
It was a good fucking book. I think I read it over 2 days. It was excellent. Little 6 short stories put together about hell and themes of hell and stuff, and it was very, very spooky, and it was good for October.
Neat.
And guess what came out today, Dan? The day we record.
Chainsaw Man started.
No. Maybe in Another Life, the new album by Easy Life.
Oh, yeah, it did. I've only listened to, like, one song. I mean, besides, like, the song they released, like, before the album. It's super good. I already know it's going to be a good album when I listen to it fully.
I've probably listened to the album, like, 7 or 8 times today already.
Really? It's good. It's that good, eh?
It was fucking good as shit. But that's it for my old bi-weekly breakdown. It was a lot of, like, me sleeping because I had COVID.
That's good. Before we jump into it, we will in 2 seconds. Mob Psycho Season 3 started this week, and we're definitely going to do an episode when it's finished airing, and we can talk about it entirely. But, yeah, super, super excited. I started the first episode, like I watched the first episode, and it makes me emotional to watch that. It's so fucking good.
Does it air weekly, like a new episode every week?
Yeah, this was like the week when a lot of the anime started for this, like, season, the, like, winter season or whatever.
Yeah.
So, or the fall season, I guess is what people call it. So I've started a lot of stuff this week.
Getting on to our topic here. I chose this. It was a bit of a cop-out topic because I just wanted to play a role-playing game and think about stuff again.
I really wish we got in 2 sessions, but yeah, with COVID, it was tough. We'll be getting in another session by the time the next bi-weekly breakdown is. We'll talk about the next session a little bit.
Yeah. But we played Arkham Horror. So what got you into... Or not Arkham Horror. What the fuck is it called? Call of Cthulhu.
My brain's scrambled.
My brain's scrambled. What interested you in Call of Cthulhu, old Daniel?
So, yeah, I don't actually know. I'm super glad I got interested. I do that often, though, sometimes. I'll just, like, look up something or something will pop into my head. And Jim's mentioned it before. Something will pop into my head, and then I'll go... this looks interesting. And then by the end of the day, I'll go, okay, so I have the player book, and I have the starter guide, and I've ordered this from Amazon, and I have the special sheets that you need, and I've got the dice.
That's what Dan does. He always pictures, like, him liking something, and then he builds up a fucking, like, battlement of all the shit he needs to fucking enjoy something.
Yeah, I need all the stuff to enjoy it, and then I can enjoy it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time, it doesn't, but I'm also getting better. I used to do it more when I was in, like, grade 8, 9, and 10 and stuff. I'd, like, spend too much money on a hobby I've never done, and then be like, this isn't very fun. But yeah, I was at work one day, and I've always known about Call of Cthulhu, obviously. Like, I've heard of it and stuff. And one day I was just, like, kind of looking, and I think it popped up on Reddit or something, or I saw an ad on one of the board game sites that I go to that sell hobby shit, and it was like, the new Call of Cthulhu starter set's in. Like, it's brand new. They remade the starter set. And I was looking at it, and I'm like, that's really cheap. It's like $25. It comes with all this stuff, and I was kind of looking at it, and I'm like, you know what, this is really cool, this looks really good. So, I went to LA Mood, like, I convinced myself within the span of that work day, I was like, I'm gonna take some time, and then by the end of the day, I was like, nah, I'm gonna go to LA Mood before I go home. So, yeah, I just bought it kind of as a thing, and I read the rules, and I was like, this is really neat. And then I read the stories, and I was like, this is, like, really cool. Like, I like this a lot. And then we played, when was it?
Saturday.
Only a couple days ago.
Wasn't it? Oh, no, it was Wednesday. It was Tuesday.
What's wrong with your head, Jim?
Fuck.
Give your head a shake. Today is Saturday. Yeah, we played on Wednesday. We played Wednesday evening, I believe.
No, we played on Tuesday, you fucking
Tuesday
adult.
evening. Tuesday evening. Next time we play will be like next Sunday. So.
I'm the one who I have cotton in my ears and I gotta shake all the seawater out of it.
Yeah, but it's nice, Jim. I will let you explain kind of what we do in Call of Cthulhu. What is everyone in Call of Cthulhu? How's it different from D&D? Tell me.
I think Mothership, we had talked about Mothership in the past.
Yep.
And Mothership, I think, borrowed heavily from Call of Cthulhu and simplified things. But Mothership, you have like a designation and like jobs to do. And in Call of Cthulhu, your job is to figure out what's going on. And your character can really take any sort of form, but that's the main goal of any campaign that's played in this sort of...
Figure some shit out, yeah. Everyone's called an investigator, but loosely, everyone is... You're usually figuring something out. You're usually not killing a big bad evil thing. It's like, figure this out. Why is this happening? What can you do to... If not stop it most of the time, put it back at bay for a bit so the next person can try and do something more.
Well, I think that when that's described to someone who's not familiar with the setting, that's like, oh yeah, you're a bunch of PIs or you're a bunch of like smart guys looking after stuff. But like the characters that me and my fellow compatriot dumbasses chose were a bit different, cut from a different cloth than that whole idea. So,
let me see. I bet I can remember them all. I bet I can remember them by name. So, Jim sits down at the table and he says, I want to be a goon. And his character's name, was it Francis Fairfellow?
Yes.
I remembered. Jim is the idealist goon. He's the guy, he has a little gun with him. He's a big, buff, burly goon.
Idiot.
That's all he is. He's a big moron.
He's a fucking follower. He's a man who gets instructions and then follows them.
Yeah, that's what Jim is.
He uses intimidation and bullying to get what he needs.
Yep. Cassie is Janet Snakehole, and her character is ripped pretty much straight out of, or at least the premise was, ripped straight out of Parks and Rec. She is a retiree at the age of 30 who may or may not have killed her past husband, and she used to be an antiquarian. And she's very straight-laced. She's good at books and reading and figuring stuff out. And then Patrick is a near-racist caricature of a Italian jewelry man, a jeweler named Reggie Gunn, yeah. Patrick really liked to describe his character 50 times. And every time it was almost more racist, every single time to old Italian people.
Well, I think, Patrick, this past week, the trailer for the new Mario movie has come out.
That's what it was on his mind, you think?
I think Patrick has just bombarded his neurons with Mario. So as he was playing the game, I remember his character was doing more and more outlandish things. Like It started
normal where he was like, looked up a clip art picture and showed us, and then you can tell him how did we end the first day? You went to your room, Cass went to her hotel. What did Idiot do?
So Patrick got on a bus to get outside of the city to find the cheapest motel he possibly could, because when you allot skill points into your character sheet for this, it's like Mothership, you have to roll under a value, so the higher your value you have in a stat is the best. Patrick, when he's picking his stats, didn't put anything in his credit rating. So he had no money except for the money he had in his pocket.
We ran with it. We were going to say, let's do a 5, and we were like, no. Let's say canonically, Patrick's character is literally in debt.
He has no money. He has $30 in his pocket. So he took, I believe Patrick got on a bus. He ate a hot dog out of a garbage can, got on a bus, went to a motel, and then you call it like the Fleabag Hotel. And Patrick said that, like a cartoon character, his character fluttered like a piece of paper into the bed and started going shh, shh, as soon as he hit the fucking sheets.
Whatever makes him happy. If that's how he wants to play, then that's how he plays.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, I think I've talked about this past before with the other RPG systems we were using, but the main goal is to just have structured fun, right? Like, I like being a goofy character who does horrible shit, but I just want structure to the fun. And when there's too much structure, like Starfinder, we can get bogged down by it and get annoyed. But with this game, it's much easier to jump in. And me and Patrick were talking about it afterwards because he drove me home, and he was like, it was much easier to understand what we were doing and our goals because we were just like dudes. We were just like people.
Yeah, that is, I think, the biggest dichotomy between why people either love Call of Cthulhu or they think it's stupid and they dislike it. You're people. You're not dwarves. You're not tieflings. You're not the crow people. You're not a big standing walking machine with 80 different spells.
I think that when you're really invested into D&D, and I have been in the past, and you have all these character traits and stuff and lore that you can look up to really build your character and stuff, that's a very interesting way to roleplay and a very interesting portion of the game. But sometimes, especially if I just want a small story with my friends that doesn't have a lot of time investment, like I just want to be a fella. I just want to be a dude. I want to have a concept for a character, and this concept was, I was remembering playing Fallen Aces, and everyone, every enemy in that game is like a dude who goes, "Oh, what's that? What's there? Ooh, I don't see where they're going to. Oh, I gotta drink all this bourbon. My boss is gonna get mad." Like, that's every character in that game, and I was like, I want to be one of those guys. I want to be one of those mean-mugging, fucking stupid bastards you karate chop in the back of the head and they fall over.
Yeah, you pretty much are. I will say, between you and me, I can see Patrick's character dying, definitely.
Between you and me, I think my character is definitely gonna die.
Yeah, I could see that. I would say we have, just in case anyone knows Call of Cthulhu, we're running the adventure. I'm running the adventure Edge of Darkness. And then after this, I think I'm going to jump into, I think the next one was called Graveyard Stomp. And I want to premise it that everyone will be a singer in the same blues band. And that's how it'll be.
Oh, that's cool. But yeah, that's the main thing, right? Is that I want to roleplay, and I want to highlight some of the fun roleplay stuff that me and Patrick and Cassie did while we were playing, where it was like, okay, so the premise of the story is some guy we have been in contact with in the past, like, wants us to go back to this house, and he had summoned a demon like 70 years before and stop the demon from showing up because he's dying, and when he dies, the demon will be free. So the way we explored this was like, we got some paperwork, immediately went to a bar to read it, and Cassie was the one reading it, and for whatever reason, a bum came into the bar and he asked us for money. Or no, he didn't ask us for money. He just asked, like,
he said, "Can I have a drink?" That's all he said.
I gave him a drink, and then I was like, why is this guy coming up to us? And I've never seen him before. And
he's just a homeless guy.
We have this paraphernalia, and he goes to the bathroom. So I immediately go into the bathroom. Patrick follows me, and he's like pissing in the big trough. And I immediately clobber him on the back of the head, and he falls over, pisses all over himself. I stick my gun in his mouth, and then Patrick mugs him. And I just ask, like, what he's doing, and he's just like, I don't know anything, whatever. And then I give him, like, some of his stuff back. Patrick kept his 32 cents he had in his pocket, and I was just like, get the fuck out of here, and he ran out of the bar. But, like, if I was, playing a character, if I was in a long-running D&D game, and I was, like a tiefling cleric, and I was trying to be nice, I wouldn't do shit like that. But because I have this character who's a fucking evil dickhead, I can really explore, like, what will happen if I do this? What will happen if I do that? If I push this button a certain way? And I think that's one of the most fun aspects of a role-playing game as well.
Yeah, 100%. I just feel like it's such an easy thing for everyone to wrap their heads around, that you are all people. Here's an objective. Cassie described it almost like there's an escape room aspect of Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, that's definitely a huge portion of it,
yeah,
right?
I love the handouts, and I think that's one of the staples. Like, Mothership's staple was a lot of the adventures have the audio logs you can listen to, which I love too. D&D doesn't really have a thing. It's too big. Like, there are so many campaigns and so many things.
Me and you have talked in the past about, like, how D&D 5e almost needs to be supplemented every time you play in order to make it work correctly. Yes. So I feel like with a more simple mechanic system and a more simple story, you're able to include some of this stuff. Because another portion of this was, we were doing research. Like, we got these... Cassie got a journal.
You got a box from him, and it was like a bunch of letters. And it was reading. It was a thick bunch of pages of stuff you could read.
So Cassie read it, and she went to the library, and then she had the librarian help her research those dates, and you gave her handouts for it, and I was like, holy shit, I would never have thought to do that. Like, she did the exact right thing.
Yeah, she cross-referenced the dates on the page, and then she went to the library and was asking about people's, like, what people lived in Arkham around this time, and if there were any major news stories, and then she got old police clippings that the library had on file on their big, like, newspaper section, and it was, like, more clues. It was very interesting to see.
Yeah, Cassie kept, like, rolling stuff out, and then the way the session went is that I wanted to know where the items we had, it was like a little gold sarcophagus. I basically tracked down an archaeologist, and I don't trust anybody. That's what my character does. He doesn't trust anybody. So he wanted to stay with him the entire time that he's researching this thing. So I'm going to do that the next time we play. But Patrick went to the police station. He didn't have a lot of luck there. But Cassie went to an old folks home to find the coroner who did like a report on one of the guys who had died, who had summoned this demon. And she basically harassed this poor vegetable man into having a fucking seizure in a chair. It was pretty horrible. And I like that aspect to Call of Cthulhu, is that under the surface of everything, there's some like evil, weird shit going on. So I don't feel like it's the best place to be a very goody two-shoes character, like a lot of people end up being in D&D games. Like a lot of people just end up being
You're
like
lawful
nice guys.
Good, yeah. It's so easy to fall into that because that's your first instinct. But yeah, Call of Cthulhu really feels like you're not really getting anything if you are just straight up being a good person because you deal with fucked up shit. And I was telling you, too, you can make a really smart character, and in some instances it's good, and in a lot of instances it's almost worse to be very smart, especially when you go up against mythos stuff, because you more easily understand exactly what you're looking at, which is worse for you. So if you're stupid, you don't really understand what's happening.
Yeah, it makes you go crazy, right?
Yeah, there's sanity rules and stuff. Everyone kind of knows the standard. Call of Cthulhu's been around, God, I think it was before D&D,
It was after, but it was the early 80s. It was
after, really?
You know who made it?
Wasn't it back in Sandy Peterson?
It was old Sandy Peterson.
Yeah, he is, he makes some board games, too. His board games look good, but I don't think the company that runs his board games is any good.
Dan's mad at Sandy Peterson because he had a very bad Kickstarter.
He's had a lot of very bad Kickstarters. Not just one. But,
he made Doom. He made Doom.
He made Doom? Sandy Peterson made Doom?
He didn't make Doom, but he was one of the level editors on it, I think.
Didn't John Romero make Doom?
John Romero, John Carmack, the entirety of id made Doom, Dan.
Interesting. I didn't know Sandy Peterson really did that. I know he has a little YouTube channel I sometimes watch.
He wears a fez and talks about RPGs.
He just like talks about shit. Some videos I watch, I'll watch them if I'm like, I see a topic and I'm like, that looks interesting. But the vast majority of them, I'm like, I'm not so invested into tabletop RPGs that I'm like, I need every little supplement for everything. I need to know the lore of how a goblin eats its dinner. Shit like that.
I feel like the best portions and what me and you very much enjoy in role-playing games is like an example from the session we had last time was Patrick, one of the people who summoned the demon was named Marion Alex.
Oh my god. Marion Allen.
Marion Allen. And Patrick kept calling him Alan Marion. So Patrick picked up the fucking phone booth, and then I was there, and he called the operator, and he was like, I need a number for Marion Allen. And they're like, there's no number for Marion Allen. And Patrick was like, Patrick, call this other name. Patrick's like, no, I need to call Alan Marion and you without missing a beat. This random man named Alan Marion picked up the phone and he was like, what the fuck do you want? Who the fuck are you? And Patrick was like, do you know about these killings? And he was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, that was amazing. It fucking made me scream laugh the entire time it was going on. Holy shit.
It was good. Like, I think, without tooting my own horn, I think I'm a very competent DM. I like DMing a lot. I like rolling this stuff because my favorite part of doing this stuff is having stories that you remember from the scenario. Mm-hmm. And I've always looked at it. I think I might have started out D&D not that great, but I pretty quickly caught on to it. It's never about you versus the players, the DM or whatever, versing the players, trying to make it. It's a really common thing, too, trying to make the adventure super tough. And how do you kill them? How do you give them a huge challenge? How do you... All this shit. I always want to make it... I want to give the players a position where they can springboard off and do something cool, or figure out something cool, or have a story that they can remember, or have a funny moment. I want it to be something that they can remember after the game, because that's what you're really going to think about in 10 years' time. You're not going to remember Patrick was Reggie Gunn. You're going to remember when he called a fucking phone number and a random person picked up.
Well, I think we talked about some stories last time, but it's like when I was playing my first D&D campaign and you were DMing, we went into that fucking cave and there was supposed to be an enemy there that's supposed to attack us, and he was just like a nice guy, and we smoked weed with him and he just talked to us, and that was cool.
That's what you remember.
Yeah, but it's the collaborative effort, right? Like,
yes.
when I DM, I think that I am not the best improviser always. I think I'm good at making jokes, but sometimes I'm not good if someone needs to, like, I need to do this random thing, and I'm like, okay, and it takes me a second to like pick up where they're going with it, or something like that. But I'm a very good planner. I feel like I'm better in the retrospect, where I've done the session and I think over like, oh fuck, like they're doing this and they're touring towards that, so I want to plan something for them to do later. And it's two different. I don't know if you do a lot of planning, like supplemental planning.
It's very different.
Stuff.
Yeah, it's different skills. I do think I have a hard time. I need to start writing down more notes post game, just the big things that I've changed or have happened.
Yeah.
Like Patrick, it was cool. We had a moment of like, this is going to be the lore now of that character. It was figured out that Patrick said something along the lines of like, my dad knew one of the people that had died. So it's like, that's a very good moment to write down something and come back with it maybe at the end of this campaign, or tie it into another huge story where Patrick's family is like...
tied to what was going on.
Yeah, doing this shit, or tied to something else. Maybe his family was a jewel trader and they found something at one of their mines or something in like the outskirts of Arkham or something.
Yeah. That's the stuff that I like a lot, right? When I was running the Dragon of Icespire Peak, 70% of it while that was rolling down was like stuff that I had come up with.
Yeah.
Like there was like through the players' actions, there was like a town election, there was a whole faction of shit that had risen up, like of orcs that was going on, and all these different things that had just come out naturally from the players' actions, right? And I feel like that's the best part of role-playing games, is that like I think there's a hard line to cross where you don't want to let them, like the players, like control everything and get everything done easily.
If shit is wrong and they look somewhere that's not something, you have to be able to say, yeah, no, there's nothing there. You can't move every brick and find hidden treasures and shit. There's nothing there. It's just a thing.
But the players do have an effect on the world around them, and that
100%.
World's going to react. And if something isn't explained in a book or a supplement, I have to come up with a reason why something has to be that way, right?
Yep.
And that's why a good DM is a good improviser.
Yeah. That's what I remember most from when is the Legend of Icespire Peak is it a full adventure, or is it like one of the starter set adventures?
Dragon of Icespire Peak, it is one of the starting adventures,
but it's super good.
It's I know you like the Phandalin or the
Lost Mines of Phandelver. That's what I was going to talk about.
I have them both, and the Dragon of Icespire Peak is much better. It's much better. Yeah.
I found, so I played the Lost Mines of Phandelver. I DM'd that for my friend Leroy and I think 2 other people, and I don't remember the specifics, but I do remember exactly what I just mentioned. I remember the cool shit that happened that was improv and that they wanted to have happen, and I was like, sure, that'll happen. Well, and looking back on it, it's like, I maybe shouldn't have allowed that to happen, but that's what I remember, and they had a lot of fun. Leroy, so you meet a dragon in that thing.
Yeah,
and
you explained that. You explained that last time we talked about RPGs.
Did it? Yeah, it was very cool.
Bad evil guy to follow him around. How did you feel about because Cassie? You ran a little one shot for Cassie, so how did you feel about that whole session that happened before?
It was good. It was definitely good to get back into DMing or doing whatever this is called, like talking to people in front of a tabletop and figuring out this shit. Even though you guys are my friends, it still feels nervous when you haven't done it in so long. Oh fuck, like you don't want to fuck up the time that you've set aside to have fun. Like you don't want to ruin that shit. It was good to kind of just do it with her, to get back into it and do the lingo of talking like that and how to describe situations and skill rolls. It felt good. It was a good thing to do. I'm excited.
Well, you're very good. Like, I feel like sometimes I get a weird idea as to what's going on. Like, like with the bum thing, I was like, what's in his pockets? And you were like, 32 cents. This and that.
Jim thinks everything is a secret. Everyone's got an ulterior motive.
Well, no.
Drunken bum walked into a bar.
Well, I was like, what are the odds that this guy would be interested in talking to us the night that we have this thing happen? We're sent on a mission, right? So I didn't know if he was like some kind of cult member or something that was following us around. So I was just going on a hunch. But he had a watch that had initials in it. And you gave us his first and his last name, and the watch had initials in it, and it was like a different first initial, but the same last initial. And immediately I was like, oh, that's his father's watch. Like, I can't fucking take that. So I gave it back to him. But like, I don't know if that was, you don't have to give it away right now because we're still in the middle of it. I don't know if that was something in the book or you came up with, but that was, if it was something in the book, what a great fucking thing to include. And if it was something that you came up with, like, fucking bravo, Dan. That was amazing.
I will say, without getting a lot of it away, a lot of what was going on wasn't in the book, and that's how I kind of run whenever I do an adventure like this.
Yeah, me too.
I read the whole adventure, obviously. I think you always need to do that. Maybe not the whole adventure, but at least 50, 60, 70%, just to know ahead of time what they should be aiming for. But I read the whole adventure. And then I kind of write down the big points of, like, they should hit this thing,
Yeah.
They should kind of do this, and they should kind of do this, and it should lead them here, and then it's just natural progression. Just so when eventually, like, things go off the rails instantly. Patrick gets on a bus and he goes to a fucking motel. Shit goes off the rail instantly, but I know
I attack a bum in a bathroom.
Yes, it's like, this needs to happen, and this kind of needs to happen, and they maybe need to figure out this. Anything between those two big points are huge. Cassie was already at the library. You already did this, so it's like anything else is just... They can do whatever they want. They figured that out. Like, they can do anything.
God bless Cassie. She had her head on her shoulders. I think me and Pat would have been
she
lost
read the journals.
I think since the last time we talked about RPGs, I also ran that one shot for you and my roommates for Mothership, the Gombe Brood.
Yes.
I got a bunch of little pamphlet one shots off of Drive-Thru RPG for Mothership. If you guys are interested in Mothership, you definitely go to drivethrurpg.com.
Drive-Thru RPG's fucking sick. I just bought something from there yesterday. I'll talk about when you're done.
They're a couple bucks and you get a pamphlet adventure. But the Gombe Brood, it was a ship full of monkeys, crazy monkeys. And when I got it, it's not the best fucking adventure I've ever gotten. It was very rough, and some of the values and stuff like that were kind of fucked. So I read over it, I changed some stuff, and then when you two were playing, it was you and it was you and Cassie. That's who I ran it for. I ran another one for you and my roommates after that. But you and Cassie were playing. The whole adventure is set up for you to align yourself with the good monkey and then kill the bad monkeys, or find a way around the bad monkeys and then get the stuff and get out. But You immediately made a truce with the bad monkeys, and then like you got to their leader, and she was like, you gotta kill the fucking girl in the tube who's not even awake. And one of you went in there and you just fucking shot this poor woman in the head when she was like waking up out of cryo sleep, and then the monkey tore her head off and then threw it around, and you guys made like monkey friends that would like
it was at that moment I think maybe that wasn't the best decision. When the monkey ripped the woman's head off, I said
But, that's what you gotta do, is that, like, I was totally ready for you guys to do the regular Mothership thing and go through and try to fix stuff and stealth through. And you guys missed, like, 20 fucking encounters and everything. But it was such a good fucking story and such a good fucking time. Like, as long as that's going on, who gives a shit, right?
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of early DMs... I'm by no means I have hundreds of hours or whatever DMing. But I don't know, think Dan, that's where a lot of...
You probably have hundreds of hours DMing. I bet
actually, you might be right, actually. Yeah, you actually might be right. But I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up, is that they read the books and it's like, D&D's pretty bad for it. Some of the D&D adventures, if you follow by the book, it's fucked. It's like level 1 characters versing 10 goblins that could easily kill all of them at session 1. And it's a lot of shit that's like, especially the early D&D books. What was the one that we were playing that I mentioned last time? The dragon
The
one.
Horde of the Dragon Queen?
Yeah, that one is very bad.
That one's
for
shitty.
like, yeah, it's very bad for like, there's a hidden key here. Your players should find it. And it's like, how the do you know the people I'm playing with? The people I'm playing with are morons.
Yeah,
They're
I'm
walking
literally
around in the
fucking
swamps.
stupid. Like, me and Cassie and Leroy are fucking dumb as shit. We didn't do anything right.
It's just weird. You really need to have... You need to work with the players. If the players are looking in this thing and they're so sure that this is maybe where the key is, it's gotta be here. Just make the fucking key there. Make it there because they will feel rewarded. And don't ever tell them that you made it there. That's the other problem, is after the session, don't go, hey, I changed it. The key wasn't there. Because instantly they'll go, well, that's stupid now. Now I feel dumb.
I very rarely fib when I DM. Unless I absolutely fucking have to.
Yep.
Very rarely do I fib. But, I mean, that's in the back pocket of every DM. And I wanted to say something too. Like, when I go online, I know there are some people who are very invested in 5e and the changes it makes. And when a new book comes out, they immediately go on and like, let's get some people playing it. And they'll watch like live streams of people playing through the book or videos of people playing through the adventure. And it really makes me like disappointed when someone's DMing a game and they're following the book to a T.
To a
like,
fucking T.
Yeah, like all the characters are doing stuff and they're kind of like railroading them into doing a certain thing. Like they're using NPCs or using like the structure.
Come this way. Come to the bar. Come to the keep. Come to the keep. Come this way. There's shit this way. And it's like, let them do fucking whatever they want.
And we've said this, we've gone over this topic a little bit too much, I think. But like, I think that to be a good player as well, not just a good DM, you have to pick up those breadcrumbs that people are laying down for you, right?
Yep.
And it's much easier to do when you're in a group as well. Like, when me and Patrick and Cassie are playing, Cassie can be like, you guys are being fucking dumb, we should do this. And I'm like, okay. I'll relent and be like, okay. Or Patrick is like, well, I should be doing this. And I'll be like, oh yeah, Patrick, I never thought of it. Let's do that. And I feel it keeps us more honest. That's why I don't like one-on-one D&D sessions. I'm not really interested in those at all.
I think it's such a different thing.
Dynamic?
I don't even know if you could call it. It obviously is. It's D&D, but it's such a different thing.
Like, I feel like the starter thing that you and Cassie did, right? That was a good thing to get you both accustomed to the rules, and especially you getting back into DMing. Because when's the last time you DM'd a game?
Oh God, it would have been whatever Mothership thing we played a long time ago. It would have been that Alien thing, I bet, where it was like the goo in the water.
That was like a year and a bit ago. That was a long time ago, Dan.
Yeah, it was whatever that was.
You know, I like to DM stuff, especially when I get into the throw of things. Like when I'm reading about, like, the new Mothership stuff is still coming out. And sometimes when I get an update from the Kickstarter, I'm like, oh, fuck, I really want to do that. And I've been writing a Mothership one-shot as well that I want to put together and put up online as well. And I'm excited to do that. I'm almost done the plotting and everything. I kind of know where I want it to go. It's just looking at the rules and getting like there's something here. Somebody has to roll a blah, blah, blah to get that. That's the stuff that kind of makes me pause when the story's done and I have to add that shit afterwards. But I mean, I'll get it done. Where was I going with this? I'm glad that you're a good DM, Dan, and I'm glad that even if infrequently you do say, hey guys, do you want to play this? And then we go and do it. I enjoy it very much. Because as much as I like DMing and you enjoy DMing as well, I always teeter-totter on whether I like to be a DM more or whether I like to be a player more.
Yeah, I don't have too much experience being a player. I think I could probably count on like my hands how many times I've been a player. I really like DMing though, and some people really kind of feel like it's a common joke with DMs. It's like you get shoehorned into it and then you're never a player.
Yeah.
But from the get-go, I knew I pretty much wanted to be a DM because I have confidence in myself that I will plan ahead and will be prepared for players.
Well, you're a very I would describe you as a very like surefire person. Like when I was DMing, I remember it was called, I was DMing the Fold in Space and you were playing with my roommates. You were like, I really don't want to do this. And then you wouldn't do it. And you'd be like, I really want to do this. I really think this is going on. And you convince everyone else that that's what was happening. And that's also a good player too, because I can kind of plan around you. I can work with you as to what's going on. Actively engaging in the story
and talking. Yeah. I don't know. We've both never had bad experiences, mostly because we've never gone to like the things that we mentioned last time. I forget what they're even called, the Adventurers Leagues.
Oh yeah, I don't even want to.
I'm sure we'd have some interesting stories if we would go to those things, but I'm good. I'm all good.
I feel like I don't think D&D is the best way to meet people, contrary to what a lot of people say. I mean, I met Leroy through playing with him and Cassie, and he's a nice fellow, but I don't see myself going to a get-together. Like, if I had a friend and he was like, my friends are going to play D&D. There's 6 of us. Do you want to join and meet everyone and play D&D? I would be like, no, that sounds awful. I wouldn't know, like, if what I was doing as a character would be like, is this guy a fucking asshole? Like,
yeah, is he a psychopath?
Like, yeah.
Patrick rolls up with his racist caricature of an old Italian man, and they ask him to leave.
Like, I roll up as fucking, what's his name, Francis Fairfellow, and I stick a gun in a bum's mouth. Like, what are they gonna, like, I'm not gonna do that in front of people that I actually give a shit about them thinking about me, because I don't give a shit about what you and Cassie and Patrick think about me anymore.
I totally get that. I will say that I was invited to a D&D friend meeting thing, and it's like I knew the people, but I didn't really know them. It was
I had
from
the same
Staples
thing
when I
happen.
worked there.
Yeah.
And it was there. I don't think any of them listened to this, but it was, thank you for inviting me if you do, but it was very awkward because they were a very by the book, exact rules, this is how it happens, this is how it has to be kind of group. And I was more so like trying to have fun and doing stuff, and every time I would try something, it was like, yeah, no, that's not like a secret entrance, that's just a bush going against the wall. That's not like a secret thing here. No, he has nothing to say, you know. If an NPC wasn't written in the book to have stats and something to say, he didn't have anything to say. It was just a random NPC. He couldn't tell me any cool thing about the town. He couldn't give me any dumb lore that doesn't mean anything. It was just nothing.
When I was playing Call of Cthulhu, I went up to the fucking, like, desk at the fucking school, and there was a lady there named Betty, and I fucking slided my butt over the desk to talk to Betty because my character's a fucking disgusting man, and I was hitting on Betty. And Betty was not in the book. I can guarantee that right now, is that Betty at that desk was not in the fucking book.
Betty wasn't in the book, Jim says. Jim says there's no such character who says palooka in the book.
I've had two opposites of the spectrum, right? Where I went to a D&D game with some friends who I know, not everybody too well, but they were all very lackadaisical about what was going on. And I was like, oh, we should just be hanging out. And then I know people on Discord and stuff like that who talk about the itty gritty, like, aspects of D&D and the new stuff that's coming out for 5e or 5.5, whatever's going on, D&D Next, whatever it's called, and they've been discussing it, and I'm like, I don't really care. I care about it, like stats and magic and stuff, when I'm researching a character to play or when I'm looking into a setting of a campaign that I'm playing, but talking about the stats of stuff, like, as it's being released, has never really interested me.
No, looking at it and being like, this thing should have, 10 AC, not 11, and it's like, I couldn't give two shits. Well, I just don't care.
I'm the DM, and Dan's the DM because he's displayed it, where Patrick accidentally didn't pick a credit rating, and now Patrick has no credit at all. And whenever I do a 5e campaign, I always do point buy, and I say, you can make your stats as low as you want, and I'm going to give you 21 points to spend. So I made a character that had 6 charisma, and then he had like a bunch of other good stats, but he had 6 fucking charisma, or 7 fucking charisma. That's abysmal. That's terrible. And I'm like, yes, that's a good thing. That's what you do to, like, make things interesting. Like, a character can't be an infallible fucking thing, right?
Exactly, yeah. That's what I feel like too. You remember the characters that are fucked from minute 1, and you remember the interesting characters that live longer than you think, but you've always just got to have fun with it. Like, min-maxing a character, and I met 1 or 2 people at high school that did that would min-max D&D characters. And it never fun. All your characters were the same thing to me. They were all the same. It was just the maxed out ability points here. You maxed out your race here. You picked the exact right thing you saw on Reddit. And it's like, it's just not fun. My opinion.
When I play D&D, I'd rather, or any game, especially with this Call of Cthulhu stuff, is that, like, I did guns and stuff like that. I did stuff that was applicable to the character I wanted to play. And I'm like, I don't really care about him getting better or whatever. And especially when I'm playing D&D, I pick things based on, like, role-playing reasons, not because it's, like, the best thing to pick. Like when we played Starfinder, and my character was, like, a wizard at level 1, and I had no spells that did fucking damage. Like, that's just what I wanted to do.
Oh, Starfinder, an ode to thee.
What's happening with Starfinder, Dan? Dan, you filled me in on the new Starfinder news recently.
It's definitely getting sunsetted. All the shit's on clearance pretty much on every website. I don't really think Pathfinder talks about it too much, like the Paizo or whatever the company is.
And the art is being reused for some kind of board game.
Oh yeah, that. This is just a Danny thing. I think I'm right. I'm pretty
Danny
certain
theory.
I'm right.
A Danny theory.
A Danny theory. So there's a new Starfinder board game coming out called whatever the fuck it's called. But I was watching the Shut Up and Sit Down preview of it, and I was like, that's literally the same art. They just ripped from the books and stuff, and they put it on like little trading cards to use in the board game and like on little player sheets to use. Yeah. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. Like that strikes me as a thing that they're like,
they invested all this time. To see it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, we need to use this art. Like, people haven't even seen it. Put it out on this board game. And the board game doesn't look good.
Yeah. Rip Starfinder. But I am very excited to finish this campaign of whatever the fuck it's called. I don't even know what the campaign's called. I don't really care.
Edge of Darkness. After this, we're going to be doing a Bigfoot one.
I'm excited to use this system. I'm excited to use Mothership, and I'm excited for all that stuff. And I like these thematic role-playing systems, because you wouldn't use, Call of Cthulhu to play an adventure where you go and try to find a sword or something. You would use it to, like, there's a squid at the bottom of this muck hole. You have to figure out where dimension he's from. Like, that's what you use Call of Cthulhu for. If you have to figure out, like, oh, this deep, dark part of space where something fuck's happening, you'd use Mothership. Like, that's what you want to be doing. And I feel like it's limiting in one way, but there's also like 100 other OSRs you could pick for whatever setting you want, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And learning new mechanics and learning all this stuff that I can do with my character, and this new character sheet has been a large part of my enjoyment of playing Call of Cthulhu for the first time too, is figuring out what I can do, what skills I have, like what is important to include on my character sheet and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm super excited. I had a really good first session, and we're going to need to buy some candy cigarettes for the second session.
Oh, we didn't even say, me and Patrick went down to the Max and we bought Popeye fucking candy cigarettes, and we crunched and smoked them the entire time we were playing. We were smoking lots of cigarettes. We were very, very stuck in the theme. We were playing old 30s jazz music and shit while we were playing. It was very fun.
It was good. But I think that wraps it up for the first time. I'm sure we'll be talking about, I feel like this will be one of the yearly things we talk about, is just our time in RPGs and shit. I'm sure we're going to talk about Call of Cthulhu when we have a couple campaigns under our belt. But yeah, I think that's wrapping it up. I'm getting a little sleepy. I'm getting a little tired.
Yeah, I'm going to bed right quickly. What are we doing next time for old Shack Out Back, Danny?
We're gonna do a scary, spooky episode.
We're gonna watch.
We're gonna talk. Scary. We're gonna watch Signs, Jim.
Oh, we're gonna watch.
Signs, the scariest movie ever made.
I'm excited.
And we're gonna talk about aliens.
Aliens.
Yeah. I want to hear Jim's hot topics, because Jim has some super spicy topic on how he doesn't believe in aliens.
Well, I'm not convinced. That
Jim's a non-believer.
And we talked about this during the Cryptid episode, and Dan was flabbergasted. He was utterly beside himself.
We're going to get more into that. We're going to watch Signs. We're going to talk about Mel Gibson. We're going to talk about Joaquin Phoenix.
I got to tell you, listeners, I'm not looking forward to the next Cryptid episode, because Dan's become more and more obsessed over the last few months. He's become a fucking insane, crazy man, sending me shit about the Chupacabra and stuff.
Oh, that'll be it, though, for this episode, Jim. If you want to take us out, you can. Otherwise, put some Mario snoring sound effects.
Well, I'm going to describe what's on my desk. How about that? I got a Psyduck. I got a K&K rule. I got a
I got my Winston figurine.
I got a little turtle with a banana peel on his head. I got a little fox. I got a little Hero Forge character, and I got a spin down cannon that old gracious Danny gave me. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Peace out.
Good night, darling.
Goodbye, Jim.
Bye-bye.
Good night, Dan.
Good night, everybody.